All right, today we're diving into something pretty mind-bending. It comes from a book by Shelli Renee Joye called The Metaverse of Consciousness. And I'm telling you, it's a theory that might just completely flip how you think about reality, consciousness, and your place in the whole shebang. So let's just get right into it with a question that hits at the very core of this idea.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with a huge one. Is the world you're seeing around you right now real? I mean, really real? Is this the whole story? Or, and this is the big or, is it possible that what we experience every day is more like a simplified user interface, something designed to help us get around in a much, much deeper reality?
To even start to wrap our heads around that, the book gives us this incredible metaphor. Building on the work of cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman, Joyce says we should think of our perception as a kind of spacetime headset. It's not showing you reality as it actually is. Nope, it's giving you the simplified, compressed, user-friendly version. You know the old saying, we're not seeing the territory, we're just looking at the map.
So here's the key takeaway. Our consciousness is basically a filter. It takes this unbelievably vast, maybe even multi-dimensional universe, and it squishes it down into the simple 3D plus time reality that we can actually handle. And get this, the book argues this isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's a survival tool that lets us function. But it does make you wonder, right? What is it filtering out? What are we not seeing?
Well, the answer to that question, according to the book, is something called the metaverse. And hang on, before we start thinking about VR goggles and tech billionaires, let's just stop right there. This is not that. Not even close. We're talking about something way, way more fundamental. Okay, so look at this. It really breaks down the difference. On one hand, you have the tech metaverse we hear about all the time. Digital worlds made by humans, basically a form of escapism. But on the other hand, you have what this book is actually talking about, the consciousness metaverse. And that's not a place you escape to, it's the fundamental reality that we emerge from. It's not an escape from reality, it's the source code of reality itself. The book's official term for this is the psychophysical metaverse. Now, I know, that sounds like a mouthful, but it's pretty simple when you break it down. Psycho for mind, for consciousness. Physical for, well, the physical world, matter, energy, all of it. The whole point is that they aren't two separate things at all. They're woven together, totally inseparable, in a reality with way more dimensions than we can perceive. So you're probably wondering, okay, that's a wild idea. Where is this even coming from? And that's a fair question. The author doesn't just pull this out of thin air. She builds this incredible case on two massive pillars, creating a bridge between two worlds we almost never see connected, cutting-edge physics and some really deep philosophy.
Okay, pillar number one, modern physics. And this is where things get really cool. You've got theories like string theory talking about tiny vibrating strings in hidden dimensions. You have actual particle colliders giving us hints that there's way more going on than meets the eye. And then there's quantum theory, especially the work of physicist David Bohm, who talked about an implicate order, a deeper, enfolded reality that our universe just kind of unfolds from. I mean, this stuff fundamentally challenges the old school idea that what you see is what you get.
The second pillar? Well, that's built on a whole lineage of profound thinkers who were brave enough to connect our inner world with the outer universe. You've got guys like Gustav Fechner, who tried to find the scientific link between mind and matter. Then there's Carl Jung, who gave us the amazing concept of a collective unconscious, like a psychic internet that we're all plugged into. And Teilhard de Chardin, who had this incredible vision of consciousness itself evolving on a planetary scale. And as you can see from this timeline, these aren't just some fringe ideas. They have a really rich intellectual history. For over 100 years, some of the most brilliant minds have been wrestling with this exact possibility, that consciousness is way more than just a biological accident. In fact, some, like Teilhard de Chardin, were convinced it was part of a much bigger evolutionary story. And that brings us to the work of Teilhard de Chardin, which is absolutely central to this whole thing. He came up with this concept of the noosphere, which literally translates to the sphere of thought. It's the idea that all of humanity's collective consciousness isn't static. It's a living, breathing, evolving entity. Teilhard saw a really clear evolutionary path. First, we're just a collection of separate, individual minds. But then, through things like language, culture, and now obviously technology, our minds start to connect and converge. This is what creates the noosphere, this planetary thinking layer. And he theorized that this whole process is moving towards something he called the omega point, a final, unified state of superconsciousness. The book suggests that we, right now, are living through a really critical phase of this process. All of this, the headset, the physics, the evolving mind, it's all building to the book's final, and maybe its most provocative, idea. It asks us to question one of the most basic assumptions we make about the very fabric of our world.
This quote just nails it. We are trained from day one to think of matter, rocks, water, stars, everything, as just dead, inanimate stuff. And that's why we have this hard problem of consciousness. How on earth does life in mind pop out of a bunch of dead stuff? But what if that's the wrong question entirely? What if our starting point is just wrong?
And this is the ultimate question the book leaves us with. What if we've had it completely backwards this whole time? What if consciousness isn't something that happens in the universe, but is a fundamental property of the universe? Just like gravity or electromagnetism. The philosophical name for this is panpsychism, and it suggests that consciousness infuses everything with life and meaning right from the ground up.
And if that's true, well, that changes everything, doesn't it? Especially how we think about life's biggest mystery. In this view, death isn't an end. It's simply a transition. It's the moment you finally get to take off the space-time headset and experience the full, unfiltered, and boundless reality of the metaverse of consciousness. Now that is a profound thought to end on.